Are you trying to get your shift together?
Welcome to the Shift Sisters podcast, where real conversations inspire real transformations. We're not experts, but we're experiencers. I'm Sandra.
And I'm Jennifer Richter.
We're your Shift Sisters.
Whether you're shifting like a sloth or it looks like you're having an exorcism, this is your space to breathe, reflect, and remember. We're here to talk shift with you.
Hello and welcome, Shifties, to another episode of the Shift Sisters podcast. New year. It's a new year. I can't believe it. We're in 2026. And our hope and our goal today is to discuss just what happens during this time of year. So typically, this is the time of resolutions. And when people try to make all of these goals and just set up their new year. But our hope and our goal today is to just support you through that and to give you some ideas around redefining what a resolution looks like, redefining what our health goals could be. And today, we also have one of our grounded guys, Adam Richter, with us. So, hey, Adam.
Hello, happy to be joining.
Awesome. And of course, I have my wonderful co-host, Jennifer Richter, with us. Hello.
Hey, girlfriend.
That's it. So today we're going to just jump in.
I mean, you can dump out the old stuff and then jump into the new stuff. That's fine too.
I like that. So we're going to jump into a kind of a health reset, thinking about what are some different ways that we can support ourselves as we go into the new year, as we go into resolution season, and not buying into the hype, because we don't have to follow what we've done in the past or what others are doing at this time. So let's kind of recompilate our thought process around that. So that is our topic for today. But as always, whenever we start our podcast episodes, we'd like to start with our rituals. So our shift forecast. So Jenn, how are you feeling today? What is your forecast for today?
I am full sunny.
Oh,
I'm so happy that we're doing this health reset talk, because I have been, like what we're going to talk about today, planning and preparing and slowly implementing and working out the kinks. And just in the last 2 weeks of some of the adjustments I've made, I have felt consistently so much improvement in so many areas of my life in the last 2 weeks that has got me vibing, big ray sunshine over here.
really? Well, I am excited to hear about some of those. Maybe you could share some of that in our chat today. And, just because I think during this reset time, we're coming off of the holidays, that sluggish time of just sugar and all the parties and all of that. So I want some sunshine in my life. And in some parts of the country, it's snowing. So that can you imagine? So bringing that sunshine, I think, is really important. Adam, you don't have to do a shift forecast, but do you want to do a check-in on how you're doing today?
Yeah, sure, happy to. I would say I am feeling mostly accomplished. I've been getting a lot done of the things I have on my list. I'm a very list-oriented person, so if I've got multiple irons in the fire, I put them on there and kind of work through them. So yeah, feeling accomplished there, and then I feel good overall health-wise too. So kind of eager to be coming into this chat on that note.
So right now, if I'm doing a check-in, I just have to be honest, I am feeling a little emotionally stormy. And I am usually with that check-in, it's triggered and reactive, overwhelmed by the swirl. So I am totally triggered physically. I started off with a migraine today, and I am in this energy space with my wonderful two co-hosts here. And I'm really pulling from that. And that's helping me kind of get through that. And when we think about health shifts, we also have to think about energy, right? Like, who are we around to help support us?
True.
And then, Adam, during your check-in, you said that you feel really good and healthy. And it's like how that changes your mood, right? How that just makes you feel so good, and you could just tackle the day and just be in that space. So we're going to talk about all of that. But my check-in is not as sunny and bright, but I'm getting that energy from you too. So thank you. All right. So thinking about our check-ins, do you have any ways to support any of the check-ins that we have, Jen, through some of your oils or some of other supports?
I do. So we're actually going to use turmeric today.
Oh,
Turmeric essential oil, right? Which is something that most people think as just a cooking spice and that's it. But it can be applied topically too for any type of muscle soreness or joint discomfort or anything like that. But turmeric is the oil of restoration. And so for me, thinking about these winter months where we're preparing and planning and restoring after the holidays. Hopefully, they're not as dramatic as they have been in the past because if everyone's working alongside us with protecting the peace and
yes.
boundaries, not barriers, and all of these things, and really helping track their energy spending, they're going to have a lot more of a successful holiday season. But still we're all learning, right? So it's not perfection yet. And we need to restore our body during these winter months to prepare for our March New Year success. And
Yes.
so restoration of turmeric repairs individuals physically, mentally, and emotionally. It has powerful properties. Sorry, I should have probably put on my glasses. I'm like, it has powerful properties that reach into damaged or blocked aspects of the self to restore what has been temporarily lost. It is particularly beneficial when one feels weighed down due to personal tragedies or loss of confidence in the abilities. Turmeric can also restore one's faith in goodness. It reminds us that good or bad, each person occupies a unique role in the unfolding destiny of the world. Yeah, I mean, it helps with negative emotions of feeling damaged, unsteady, abused, oppressed, afraid, betrayed, hopeless, or paralyzed, which is really relevant to when people think about their goals.
Sure. Yeah. And you just don't realize the significance. Like when you every time you share your oils and some of the properties and how it helps, it's just I'm floored and I'm saying to myself, I can go to my kitchen right now and just, get some turmeric or and really
Hmm.
help support. And even thinking about my migraine at this time, right?
Oh, yes, for the circulation and everything. Absolutely.
it was like a perfect addition to the conversation and kind of how, we're feeling. So thank you for bringing that to the
You're
conversation.
so welcome.
All right. We always like to raise a glass and talk about our sips. So I am sipping on a Tulsi tea lemonade, and Jennifer, she's the one that introduced me to Tulsi. And I'd love for
Mhm.
you, Jennifer, to share its properties. I know.
Oh my god, I'm not prepared for that. It is, I mean, it is so relaxing and soothing in a sense of, some people need prescription medication to balance out their anxious feelings and emotions. Some people take, let's say, MGs from the grass station, if you know what I mean, to help with that. And some people just live in high anxiety mode.
Yeah.
And for me, Tulsi tea really, really, really gives that balance. And it's so surprising to me still because I'm like, a tea? I've never had anything be so effective. So
Mhm.
we make it by the multiple gallons around here. And all of us, the kids, everybody loves it. We drink it all the time. And I'm so excited to hear what concoction you made with it.
So just some brewed Tulsi tea, some lemon, and I also just had some honey in it just for a little bit of added sweetness. And I have to tell you, when you introduced it, I said, okay, let's see. I had the best sleep of my life the first time I
Ooh.
took it. I could definitely feel the difference when I'm in that kind of in that anxious place.
Mhm.
And I've been sipping it during work time.
Good.
As things can get overwhelming and crazy.
Mhm.
Having some Tulsi tea just has helped me focus a little more just because I'm not overwhelmed by emotion or I'm overwhelmed by, all the things. So thank you for introducing this and it's a part of my rotation now. So
That's awesome. Adam, what do you I mean, you, like, obviously are limited on what type of things you can use for your overload of stress and anxious feelings. What do you feel about Tulsi?
Yeah, Tulsi's become, I'd say, a big part of what I use along the line. So if I'm having one of those like frantic days where there's a lot going on and I'm just feeling stressed, I'll grab some. I just had to be careful because I was just having it proactively every day. And on the days
Yeah.
that I didn't need it, it would make me a little bit like kind of overly relaxed. Okay, hey, I'm probably not getting as much done as I could.
Hmm.
But like anything, right? Like use it in the moments that it makes sense to. Just too much of a good
Yeah.
thing is not always a great thing.
Sure.
So now, yeah, I use it on those days. And then also similarly in the evenings, oftentimes I'll have some because I
Mhm.
think it's just really helpful there to support you and getting into that rest and kind of getting the mind from thinking about 100 things down to just one, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. I could see it quieting everything down, all that clutter. So
Mhm.
I highly recommend it for anyone that has those anxious moments to just enjoy and to try it out. So, how about you,
Awesome.
Jen? What are you sipping on?
I'm sipping on one of the things that has really made a huge difference for me health wise. And I'll go into like super depth in it when we do our Beyond Symptoms episode, which is still in this series because, God, it's so informative and I have so much to say about it. But it's just my little protein combo. And God, I'm trying not to say so much because I just love this stuff. So it's a mix of the Vega One, which you kind of think of like make taking a multivitamin and a protein shake at the same
Oh,
time. And then it has my vital proteins in it, but it also has hyaluronic acid and vitamin C. Because I don't know if you know that about the hyaluronic acid, it absorbs the moisture in the air and puts it into your skin and stuff. So, I got to work on these WTF lines, girl. They can't be too prominent. And my Vegas Sport, which is not the vitamin part, but just more of the protein part of it. But God, I have so much to say about the ingredients and why I use them and whatnot. But literally, I have with other combinations, which I'll tell you about later in another episode. I have about 70 grams of protein in this, and it is all plant based, which is important for me, not for everybody,
sure.
because my body absorbs it and processes it better. But girl, has changed so many things, but that's what I'm sipping on.
I need one of those concoctions in my life.
Mhm.
I cannot wait to hear more about that and to try it myself. All right, party people, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk shift. So, Adam was on our episode when we talked about bull shifts and resolutions and
Mhm.
how we need to kind of rethink about what the new year is, when the new year takes place. And then also, how can we restructure our thinking process around the resolution piece of it and maybe call it something else, right? So, yearly shifts or however we want to categorize it. But not put that pressure on us as we do every year of we come off this high season and then automatically we're getting to work mode. So,
Mhm.
one of the things I want to just highlight and remind everyone is the timeline of the new year. So, I know Jen, we have talked about that. Do you want to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, just with the natural rhythm of our bodies, which are connected to nature and things like that, think about it. Things do not bloom and start growing and coming out of their caves and seed pods and all these things until spring.
Mhm.
And that is the time that we are also supposed to evolve. That is our natural new year. We should not be forcing it in January and February, where it is rest and restore and nurture ourself
Yeah.
time.
As Adam, has that been a reset for you in terms of your thinking of like new year and spring, or have you always adopted that feel in the past?
No, I'm kind of the opposite. I don't tend to ascribe to like a time of year paradigm. I'm more of
Mhm.
like, think about when it's relevant for you in the moment and apply it like more immediately, I guess. I think
Mhm.
there is relevance to the time of the year. I think it can help maybe amplify or support some of the things that you're doing. But for me, I don't, I guess, add that into like the equation of stuff that I use for my tools. I think about what can I apply now? What can I change today? What can I increment or get rid of as well? Because I think sometimes getting rid of stuff is just as important as adding things. So you get in
Oh,
the habit
yes.
of adding so many things that you don't have room to add the right thing. And that's how I think about it, I guess, with respect to kind of time of year.
It's kind of like Sandra said in the beginning, dump, then jump.
Yes, it's true.
Absolutely. And and also just clearing out space. I think
Mhm.
for what's to come. Sometimes things are not coming into your life because you just don't have the space for it. And I don't
Amen
mean
to
that
that.
physically, right? That can mean relationships, that can mean emotions, that can mean so many things in that realm. So, Jen, you talked about the slowdown and how we are still in a state of rest. So, for people out there who are just coming off of the parties and New Year's Eve and all the other things, what does that look like for you? What recommendations, suggestions would you give folks in terms of that rest period and what they should be doing now?
Wow. So, gosh, mine's probably a little bit different than other people because people don't start to spring clean until spring, right? And I do that before the holidays because it's kind of like what you were saying. Like, you have to make space for things to come in. And I know, regardless if I want them to or not, the holidays always bring more things into my world, right? Physical things, emotional things, energetic things.
Mhm.
And so, because of that, after I come off the holidays and I'm in this rest and restore mode, I'm kind of sitting with a lot of gratitude, right?
Mhm.
Because I had already pre cleaned, already made space for those things that were going to come in, whether I anticipated them or not. And I like to reflect on the holidays and the times that we had and the new things that have come into our lives, regardless if it's new people or new memories or moments or items. But then I also want to make sure they all have purpose, right?
Right.
So, do they have purpose in my health journey? Do they
Mm.
have purpose in my creative journey? What type of things? And I like to spend time navigating how and where and what they're going to fit into my life for this upcoming year.
So you're setting yourself up before January, that time frame, so that you can have the clarity because the clutter of things and energy can just overwhelm us, right?
Yeah, because I feel like if I were to wait until after the holidays to then sort all of the new things that came in and all of the things that I already had that maybe needed to go, and again, all forms, right? Energy, spiritual, emotional, physical items, habits, even all of these things. If I waited until every single bit of it was on my plate, then I'm just throwing my body even to even more overwhelm.
Oh, yes.
So I was preparing ahead of time for that.
That's great. And then thinking about that for you, Adam, when you think about this time of winter and recovery and restore, what does that look like for you in your journey?
Rolling into the new year and through that season, it tends to be like so much going on that's not really optional per se, that it
Mhm.
fills up a lot of maybe the things that I would normally be working on, which is good. It's all exciting stuff. It's usually quality time with good people. But then into the new year, I guess some of the things that I begin to think about are, okay, what are some of the things like the good habits maybe that I want to continue? And I do a for one reflection. I think back through like what's been working and what hasn't. And
Mhm.
then for lack of a better term, I kind of audit those things to just figure out
Yeah.
like, do I need to carry them with me? Are they still serving me, in a positive way, or should I drop them? Because even though just earlier I said that like, time of year isn't a huge factor, it's still valuable like in the beginning of the year after coming through kind of the tail end of having a lot going on to think about those things in maybe a little bit deeper way than you would or than I would even throughout the year. So I do a lot of little check-ins kind of along the way to try to think about what's working and what's not. But at that point, I think it's easier to take a big swing at it, right? Like truly look at things and put them in those two buckets of like, this is serving me or this is not. And then make a very conscious effort at that point to eliminate those things that are not and then start leaning into the things that are. Because I think until we've all kind of said this, but until you eliminate some of those things, sometimes that alone can be the biggest game changer for you. Like it might not be that you really have to add, because I think, in this world, we often think like, I got to add something to fix what's going on, but it may not be. It may just be getting rid of one thing. And I had a similar experience to that where I was like frantically working on stuff and I felt frantic, was hard to like be focused. And I just figuring, okay, what do I need to add to fix this, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I need some Tulsi or something else, right, to relax me. But in reality, it was just for me in that moment getting rid of caffeine. Like I had to eliminate the like coffee stimulant in the morning, and then that took care of it. And at the time, I worried also mentally. I'm like, okay, well, am I going to be able to stay awake and stay as focused by not having that? But I was willing to still take a big swing and say, okay, let's just try it. What's the harm in trying? Like, and I did it for, started with just a week. It started with a day, but like what my goal was a week. And I noticed zero difference in my energy throughout the day when I was working on stuff, no difference
Mhm.
in my focus. But I did notice I had that like calm steadiness that I was able to work through things versus that like frantic, like jumping around between things, feeling like, I don't have enough time and nothing's going to get done. So
Mm.
I say all that to say when you're doing that audit or when you're doing that reflection, put more emphasis initially on getting rid of stuff than adding. Because once you've gotten rid of that stuff, then you can kind of go to that next step.
Yeah, that's where that less is more comes into play, but it
Yeah.
has been such a huge factor for you because goodness knows you're a lot already.
Miles an hour on like a normal day. So it's
Yeah,
I don't really need to add much extra to keep that going.
for
No, he
sure.
does not.
Well, I love that you highlighted the importance of reflection, and I think that's a big part of the rest and restore piece of the beginning of a new year, which is taking inventory and audit and and really just seeing what worked, what didn't work, what needs to change. And sometimes we're just so occupied all the time that we don't notice some of those little changes. You talked about caffeine and what it the difference that it made for you. So taking those moments and saying, is someone stealing my energy, and that's why I'm just so depleted and I don't realize it, or
Mhm.
certain habits. So it's really important for me.
One there's Sandra before you run on.
Yes.
Be willing to be like brutally honest too with yourself. And I know
Yes.
for me, like sometimes like I'm not great at reflecting and necessarily determining what's good or bad for me. So be willing to maybe seek an outside opinion of those around you, like of what they think. And then
Yes.
if you're not sure, just try something, right? Like try to eliminate it just as an experiment to see what happens sometimes. Because even if you don't think it's a factor, it may be without you even really knowing it.
Oh, I love that. The honesty piece. 100% amen. Go
I
ahead.
do have to speak to that because, in different stages of our lives, we become very stubborn and stuck in our ways mentally about different things. And early on in my early 20s, in my house, we all grew up drinking pop all of the time. Like our refrigerator was full of Coca-Cola all of the time. And it was foreign to us to drink water.
Mhm.
And when I was dating Adam, I think I was still drinking like 4 44-ounce styrofoam cups of Coke a day, which, dear God, I don't even wanna know what my body looked like on the inside at that time. But I would get migraines and
Mhm.
kidney dysfunction all of the time. I was always in the ER. And, his family have more wisdom in the health department, and they would also so kindly mention, that maybe this pop is a factor. And I'm like, you're kidding me. This has nothing to do with it. The caffeine helps my headache, blah, 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 blah. And I was so resistant to hearing it. And so I think Adam was also, implying just put your ego and your bullheadedness aside
Wait,
for just a little bit and just
yeah,
give it a try.
yeah.
Just give it a try.
Mhm. Absolutely. And when you start getting down to like relationships and people as well, that honesty is really going to help you, because that I think people tend to not equate health and relationships in the same way,
Mhm.
but your health can be affected by one person, by others around you.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So honesty, that's a big part of kind of the reset of the health shift.
Yep.
So I would love to, this is a very kind of general question, but for you, when you think about health, what are those things encompass for you as we look on, this new year and wanting to make those shifts? So what does that look like for you? So Adam, can we start with you?
Yeah. So for me, two components I would say I look at is physical and mental well being. So
Mhm.
physical encompasses all the things from like diet, exercise, a lot of the stuff that we normally hear, I think, when health is being referred to. And I think that's like the foundation. Without that, I don't know that anything else matters, right? Because if you feel ill, you can't really focus on like having a great mental well being or showing up for anything maybe well. So I think that's
Uh-huh.
like the foundation. And then the next layer up from that would be like emotional well being. And in that bucket
Mhm.
is like your thoughts, your relationships with your loved ones, family, friends, work, whatever relationships it is that you have in your life. And I think well being in both of those complement the other
Mhm.
because, it's going to be hard to have physical health if your emotional health is not well. If you're stressed or, you know, having a lot of like confrontational interactions, I think there's plenty of science out there that would say like, hey, that's not good for your physical health. Probably not going to digest as well. Like, all the things that come along with stress. And then similarly, like you're not going to be able to probably have a solid like emotional stability if you're not giving your body the physical tools that it needs. You could be unknowingly eating allergens that are causing you to act in certain ways that you
Right.
wouldn't normally. Could be eating things that are, causing inflammation or upsetting parts of your body that you're not even aware of or making you feel bad, which then leads to not showing up great emotionally. So I think those are the two sides of the coin that I look at that
Mhm.
health through. There's probably some other ones if I really sat and thought about it, but I think those are the two most important.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, for whoever's listening, that we're just sharing what that looks like because
Yeah.
getting blood test lab reports is not the end all be all of what health is. And when you have that 15-minute, physical exam, which are all really important,
Right.
there's just so many things outside of that that affect your overall health and, you know, uh, sleep hygiene and all the things that, that really support us. So yes, I love that you also brought in the emotional piece and the well-being. How about you, Jen? When you think about health, what does that kind of mean for you?
Health varies, right? Like my health goals and things like that vary from time to time because I think, unfortunately, I might be like most people where whatever the loudest complaint of my body
Mm,
is where my focus is going.
right.
And I will, focus on whatever that is. And then I deep dive. I don't try to just band-aid it or to relieve the pain or the irritation of whatever it is. I want to deep dive and know everything about it. I want to know literally its origin, all of the symptoms and all of the things it connects with. And I have been doing, these medical in a sense or health detective things for so long. I've uncovered and learned so much about myself that most people I think would get deterred because they would say, well, just as soon as I restored X, Y, and Z in my body, then this was a problem.
Right.
Well, the thing is they all were a problem sometimes. You just can't hear them all at the same time. But I'm happy that I'm able to just be in alignment with whatever my body has got going on at the moment and give it that attention and restore it. And so, like for this year, my whole health goal
Mhm.
is about jean support. And I'm not talking about my blue jeans and making sure they're buttoned. I'm talking about like genes, your DNA genes, and different mutations you might have and different things you need to support it because that is a huge thing for me. I'll deep dive into all of that in the Beyond Symptoms episode. But yeah, I mean, it's still exactly what Adam says, right? Your health, which gene support does go to your physical health, but also your mental and emotional health. And it just is a domino effect.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And when I think about health, I think about, as I said earlier, like the importance of sleep because no matter how healthy you are, if you sleep an hour a day, that's just never going to support you in a way optimally. Right now, I'm in a place of just deep diving into hormonal health and what that looks like and the importance of just knowing, understanding, supporting your hormones, and that's obviously through many different things.
Yeah.
Um, Also, just the utilization of nature, right?
Mm,
So, grounding, sunlight, direct sunlight, not the filtered stuff, like going outside and having that sunlight. Just thinking about my health in ways that conventionally I wasn't taught. It's just something that you just
true.
start to learn and figure out and things like that, and, and also just going back to my roots, as I said earlier in some other episodes we talked about, how my mother and my grandmother would use herbs around the house to, fix ailments and things. And I want to start building that home apothecary and
Yes.
learning more about that and how herbs, and we talked about turmeric at the beginning of this episode, how all of that can help support us. So it's not this, kind of linear approach of you sick, you go to the doctor. It's also thinking about how do I just support myself? How do I thank my liver? How do I thank my heart and all the things that, all the systems in my body that support me on a day-to-day basis without they're not thanked by us. And we're going to talk about that in our shift activation later on. But there's so many things that happen within our body that we can currently support
Uh,
that will prevent us down the road to have, some of those issues.
Absolutely. Everybody in their life has had strep throat at least one time.
Mhm. Mhm.
And boy, after that thing is cleared up, they're like, "Oh my god, it feels so good to be able to swallow without the knives in my throat." And they're like thanking, their body for that healing. And they were like, "I didn't realize that's what it would feel like if it didn't work properly." And I can't wait to get into these shift activations for giving gratitude for our body functions working the way they do, because I have definitely learned that over the years. So I'm excited to see what you have to activate in that department.
Well, there's a study about talking into your water and
Oh.
pouring in positivity and what you want from it.
Yeah.
And I heard somewhere that you need to do that with your body. So,
Okay.
you roll your ankle, you crack your ankle, and you're out of commission, and you don't realize that one part of your body, that little piece of your body, can affect everything. So after that, like you had said with the strep throat, you are super grateful. So why not show that gratitude now when it's functioning and you're giving it back its love? And there was, some studies that they actually function better. So
Oh,
it's something to discuss as we go into our activations later on.
I love it.
So we talked about rest. We talked about what health means to us. Now let's talk about action items. So when we're starting to think about the planning phases of our health shift for the year, what does that look like to you? I know that Adam, you talked about auditing and releasing things and to make space. But when you think about blueprints or planning phase, you don't have to give me specifics, but what does that look like for you? Are you putting it on a spreadsheet? Are you doing something a little more artistic? How can we get the blueprint together for the year? What does that look like?
Yeah, so for me, I try to start at like a high level and then break it down into smaller chunks. I think
Okay.
that's important because if you try to just outline all the small things initially, it can be overwhelming. And, obviously we don't want this type of thing to be overwhelming because that'll be a deterrent.
Sure.
So start with the broad strokes, and that may just be basic goals of, hey, I would like to lose or gain this amount, or I would like to, feel better when I'm doing self check-ins in the morning, or feel more restful. Like, your goal can be anything
Hmm.
that's meaningful to you. And once you have that high level, it's important to then start thinking about, okay, what are the small things that I can do? And it doesn't have to be a lot of things. Again, you don't have to have a spreadsheet of 20 things. Like, what's the first, number one, highest priority, small thing I can do to support that? And you could list 10 things, but maybe start with one. And that may
Hmm.
be, okay, well, now if we go with the restfulness example, like I'm going to make sure that I'm winding down to go to bed at whatever, 10 o'clock at night or something. And that could be your goal. It could be as simple as that to feel more restful and start there. And even though you may have 9 other things on that kind of restfulness like journey, don't try to implement too many at the same time. And this
Yeah.
applies to a lot of places too, right? Like if you want to use more natural items around your house, well, don't go and just throw everything out at once and buy everything new, right? Like you can do that if that's within your
If you've
margin and
got the
your,
budget,
yeah,
yeah.
and your budget, like sure. But otherwise, like once something, runs out, just make an effort to replace and purchase a natural version of that single item when it comes in.
Mhm.
And then with that constant like effort over time, before you know it, a lot of the things around you will then be more natural and more supportive. So taking that
Oh,
piecemeal approach, I guess, is the way that I look at a lot of this and the way that I approach it. Because then I
Sure.
think with consistency over time, you end up ultimately where you want to be with I guess more consistent and less intimidating effort.
I love that. Yeah, I think these tips are important because it can get overwhelming, right? There's just so
Mhm.
many things that you immediately want to shift and change, but I like the idea of just taking that one item and making that change, or just putting the one tip or recommendation for that support. So I love that. Jen, how about you?
Oh, goodness. Well, I have found like really good morning things that work for me to set my day up to be not just good, but fantastic. But I am trying to work through this mental thing of, I mean, I love variety and I like switching things up. I mean, you can ask Adam, he's hardly eaten the same thing twice in the last 20 years of marriage because even if I'm cooking the same dish, it's made a completely different way. I
Yes.
like variety all the time. Um, and I find that I have these weird, I guess you would call them subconscious habits of like, oh, well, let me do this out of order or let me have this instead. And then it throws off my fantastic opportunity for the day. And I'm like, why am I getting in my own way? Can
Mm,
I just have one solid week without being the pain in my own ass and getting in my way and just do this simple morning routine that I've already designed, that I've already figured out that works not just well, but fantastic? Why am I messing with perfection? So I think I wanna it's like a nervous system mental reset. Do I not feel worthy? Do I not feel, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I wanna uncover that mental I don't know what it is that it gets in the way, but that's my thing that I'm working on is just to figure out what that block is that gets in the way, that is a thorn in my side, and just at least start with having 1 week of consistent, not non-interruption of being successful in that.
yeah, I love that. And I think the nervous system piece, right? I think that's a great thing to bring into that reflection period during
Mhm.
this time of January, right? Like
Yes.
just thinking about how does your nervous system play into your health shift for this year?
There's so much behind it, right? The nervous system, people think, "Oh, my nerves," right? Like, if I have a pinched nerve, I know I have pain and things like that. You do not understand how your subconscious and your nervous system are connected
Yeah.
and the things that it can help you with success or, how do I wanna say? Just being stuck.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's definitely something I'm gonna be working on.
Awesome. Well, for me, thinking about this time and reflection and creating a plan, I'm very visual, and that's just how I like to work.
Mhm.
Two things as a trained teacher, so I'm a certified teacher, there's a curriculum mapping. So you take a specific topic, nature, for example, you have it right in the middle. And then you think about all the different branches of nature. So it could be sea life, it could be animals, it could be habitats, all of that. And you keep breaking it down so you have this visual picture of all the different lesson plans that you can focus on.
Interesting.
So as a person, I would put my name, Sandra, in the middle and think about, what are my health goals? So sleep and weight loss and nutrition and all those different things, and then continue on. So in nutrition, I would just go into, what am I looking at? And it'll just automatically go into these different lines where at the end it's very specific, some of the things that I need to work on. So for me, I am going to start off with that web, as they call it. They call it a curriculum web. So a web to support what do I really need and what am I looking for? And then the second visual kind of tool that I like to use, people talk about vision boards. You're going to hear a lot about vision boards from your friends and family, and this is what they do in January. But I think that we're so limited in that, cardboard that you're given. You want to expand on that. So instead of it just being, a holistic vision board, it should really break down into a book because you can take all of your goals, career goals, relationship goals, health goals, and put it into something that is more comprehensive and have chapters. And think about within each of those different major topics, what can you break those down into? So for me, when I'm thinking about planning for the new year, I'm thinking visually. I'm thinking a blueprint. I'm thinking of a web. I'm thinking of a vision book.
Okay.
And it just speaks to my style. And others may want to do a spreadsheet. And I think that's great too. I'm not wired that way. So that's the way I want to approach 2026 is with that visual piece.
Sandra, question though. Once you get that web, say you've got it all built out,
Hmm.
I think that sounds great because then you can kind of see all the moving parts in a really cool way. But then how do you decide like where to start once you have that?
That's a great question. So I think it's intuition. Like, what is not ailing you most, but that you're most
Hmm?
interested in, because there will be certain things that will take more priority in your life. So I think when I create that web, it's highlighting, okay, for me, it's sleep. I really need to really focus in on sleep, and that's what I'm going to work on. And I think one thing that I want to challenge for everyone is that it does not all have to happen on day one, meaning you have all of these goals, you have all of these areas of health that you want to look at, but you don't have to fix your sleep and your nutrition and your workout routine. It's overwhelming, and you're setting yourself up to not succeed because it's just going to be too many things to remember. So I like your approach, Adam, when you talked about take one thing in that category. So for me, I'm going to focus one thing, and then maybe for a quarter, or maybe for a month or a week, or whatever your timeline is. But when I have that web in front of me, intuitively I'm going to go towards something that needs more attention at this time. So that's how I make those decisions.
That's a good
You could
point.
also look at it in the aspect as well of like, sometimes there's one thing on that list that will tackle or solve the problem of like four things, right? So, for example, right, I was talking about my morning habit and routine, how I couldn't even complete a solid week with that same routine because I have this, obsessive need for variety. But really, the stemming thing behind it is this nervous system reset that I need to focus on. Right. So if I rewind it and I work on that nervous system reset first, then it helps me be more consistent with the habits. And then those morning habits then affect all of this, positively affect this gene mutation thing that I'm working with that helps with neurological issues and hormone and fatigue and connective tissue and allergies and detoxing. And so, really, I'm starting rewinding, right?
Right. No,
Yeah, I
for
think me
sure.
and Jen's minds we're going in the same place. Like the prioritization is important because
Uh-huh.
using the sleep example you said, if you don't get good sleep and feel restful, then it's going to be a lot harder to go do like a physical workout or go to the gym.
Uh-huh.
So if you
Right.
tried to start with that first instead, like sure, that might make you more tired and maybe you'll get better sleep, but that's not going to support your body because now you're going to be
Mhm.
like operating at a deficit. So yeah, I think it is important to look through like once you have things mapped out, whether it be in some visual format or list or otherwise, kind of go through those and figure out what the prioritization should be.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, for any of you with health ailments, of course, consult your doctor or whoever you work with. But another element to get like kind of a third party opinion too is like if you're unsure where to start,
I was
put it
just
in
gonna
put it
say
in
this.
AI. Yeah, drop it in AI and just say, hey, here's a lot of
Yep.
things I'm thinking about to support my health. Where would be some good places to start and why? And it will
I
give
was
you
just about to say
suggestions.
that. I love that.
So
Yeah, for
so if you're not
sure.
doing that already, that's another good way to just have somebody or something in this case to
Yeah,
brainstorm with to help support you kind of in that journey.
absolutely.
Amazing.
I think people wanna diagnose themselves with AI, and they want a quick fix problem, and they don't understand it needs to be collaborative of you're doing the work, you're just getting a little bit of structural advice from AI, like, you
Mhm.
know, in a priority mindset, how should I approach this list? So, yeah.
Amazing. I love all these tools that we will be sharing. I'm going to try to work on my web to also share on social media to show our listeners what that looks like, and definitely using AI, and also just all the different opportunities that you can use to just show your next step in your health reset. So, in order to be successful, there's a big piece, Adam, you brought into the conversation, kind of mental health. So when we dive into creating the system, creating these plans, reflection, all of that. Tell me about the importance of kind of what going into this, your mental set going into this. What types of suggestions, recommendations, or any details that you'd like to share that would be important during this time?
So I think perspective is important initially, right? If your mental perspective going in is this is going to be hard, or I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. Like, so if you have doubt or um, confusion or whatever it may be, like those are kind of the primary step for getting started to make sure like you have the right frame of mind to support yourself going in.
Right.
So, you know, knowing the reason why that you're doing this and why you want to do it, and then really focusing on that, right? Like I'm supporting myself. I'm, you know, going to feel good and help my body, whatever those things are. It's important to both kind of quantify, like, write those things down and focus on those along the way. So
Hmm.
I think that's where you start. Once you're clear on those, I think you'll have the right mentality going in, and then you can figure out what those like tools in your plan look like, and whether that be some kind of counseling, whether that be following kind of the comments I've been making so far, eliminating negative influence as well, right? Like, are you around people that don't support your mental well being? Like, that can be a unique factor that we don't always think about, right? Like, do you have somebody that every time you talk to them, they're bringing the negativity and the storm cloud? Like, maybe that's part of what's going on for you, right? Like maybe surround yourself by some people that are more positive. Watch more positive videos, music that has positive elements in it. Like this is all a formula for the things that influence you and your well-being, mental well-being, without even necessarily knowing why, right? I think we just default to certain kinds of music that we like, and even movies. But look at like what's going on within those. Is it, you know, telling you positive things? Is it leaving you feeling inspired and energetic at the end,
Yes.
or is it not? Right. So that's I guess a couple of the things that I think about. Don't be afraid to utilize third party resources again. Right. Get an outside opinion. If you feel like mental health is like a big struggle for you, like connect to a professional resource. They have tools and things that you may not be aware of that they can. It doesn't have to be a big investment or a big endeavor, but sometimes you can go and they'll give you many things to work on your own, and that
Mm.
one visit can be a big unlock for progress in your life as well, and especially these days where you can do like a lot virtual if you need to also.
I have a question though, from a grounded guy's perspective, speaking of mental health. And how did you initially come to the choice or acceptance or belief that speaking to a professional was the right thing for you? Did you always feel that? Were you instantly like, sure, I'll go talk to a therapist, no problem? Or what was your experience there?
I would love to say that was the case, but it wasn't. Like I definitely was very averse to it because I was, I'm more of the mindset of like tough it out, rub some dirt on it, everything will be fine. Like you don't need to go cry on somebody's shoulders or whatever. Like, that's all that foo foo woo woo stuff is. I guess the perspective that I had initially, and even when I like tried early on, I didn't have the right mindset going in. Like I went and I was like, okay, well, I already know all the shenanigans they're going to tell me. Like this is a waste of time. Like, oh yeah, of course I know that. Like, and I didn't, and because of not being even open to like receive anything that they were suggesting, it was a waste of time then at that point. So I guess it wasn't until like I guess a kind of a lack of progress and maybe some frustration there that I finally was willing to be a little more open minded to what that type of investment of my time had to offer, and to truly just as an experiment, like let me try the things that they're suggesting. And at that point, I actually finally started to notice, okay, these things are helpful. These people aren't, cuckoo and just like a waste of time. Like they, in some cases, do know what they're talking about. And your mileage may vary there, right? Like I think Jen would say this too, but be willing to scrutinize the professionals that you go to, right?
Sure.
They're working for you. So just
Mhm.
because you picked one out of a phone book or out of a recommendation, actually, I guess phone book stating myself, just because you searched one online or got a recommendation from a friend doesn't mean it's the right fit for you, right? So go in and scrutinize that. And if they don't feel like a right fit, like move on and try somebody else. But that tangent aside, like once you find the right fit for you, just be willing to kind of lean in and do the work. And when I did that, like it helped. So it was a long journey in my case. Like I definitely didn't go in open minded. I went in the opposite of open minded, but then I think through some like little experiences and then being willing to kind of to grow, I was able to get there and value the professional assistance when it was needed.
Amazing.
So even if you don't feel ready, push yourself and get some strong mental health, right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Just a couple of other things to add to the conversation about kind of your mental set going into it. Brace that it's gonna the imperfections of it. Understand that it's important during your time of rest to practice forgiveness. Forgiveness because it's you're starting something new and there may be setbacks or there may be issues or things, unintended consequences that you didn't realize. Give yourself some grace. And I think when I think of standard resolutions, everyone's going in hard. They're going to the
Mhm.
gym 6 days a week. They're eating 1,200 calories a day. They're push, push, push. And the minute they slack on that, then it's an automatic failure. And
Yep.
understand that we are not wired that way. As I said, we are just coming off the time of, you know, indulgences and desserts and dinners and all of that. And then all of a sudden it's restriction. And January always felt depressing to me because of all the Christmas lights are gone, all the festivities are done. It's cold and everyone's miserable because they're at the gym all the time. And it's
Mhm.
just like, where can we ease into it? So, grace, forgiveness, flexibility, understanding that, we may need to, in the moment, change the plan because putting it on paper doesn't mean in execution it's going to work. So, having that type of approach, I think, is important. And understand that this is a goal and it's not a chore. So that's where and for me, I don't like working out. Like that is just not my thing. But I do like dancing and I and I enjoy roller skating and I enjoy swimming. So, you know, how can we switch it so that we see that the goals are still there, but doing it in a way that's going to support our joy, that's going to support our personality type or what we need. So I think having that creativity in creating your plan will also
Mhm.
help throughout the journey.
Yeah, to make it align to your personality because like you said, all the people are going to the gym and they're miserable and it's
Yeah.
like, well, why are you acting like you hate yourself, right? And that you're supposed to
Mhm.
be treating yourself like a prisoner of war. Like that's
Yes.
not what this is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be lifestyle, not just for the month of January like most people do and then they fall off the wagon. If you want
Right?
to make this change, make it part of your lifestyle. It's not a temporary thing and make it aligned to your personality so that it is exciting and joyful. Like, girl, me and you love roller skating. We
Yes.
love a good dance party, but you will not catch me in the gym pressing weights. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. Not my thing.
No, and we can't forget the joy, right? Because
Mm-mm.
we are supporting our bodies, we're nourishing our bodies, we are all we have. And there's just, there's so many creative ways to do it. You can have a potluck and you can, have a specific theme with the potluck to help support your nutrition goals. Like you can
Yep.
do so many wonderful things that can help support your goals as opposed to punishment.
Yes.
All right. And then do you think there's a place when we're creating these health goals or resets to include community? Is there things that you think are that would be helpful? Do you think that's even helpful in the reset when you think about your health reset?
There is, and it's a lot of kind of what you were talking about. Like, yeah, you might be able to do a healthy potluck, but what if you had like a small little shift circle, right? There was
Mhm.
about 6 people. And what if you guys got together once a month for your shift circle activity already, but one person would sign up and make a healthy dish to share,
Mhm.
right? So they rotate, and then throughout the whole year, you get to experience new healthy dishes and ingredients in such a fun way when you're already getting together anyways. And so,
Yeah.
if that's part of the plan, then everybody's in the mindset. So one person's not bringing Snickers and the other person's bringing fresh guacamole, and you can support each other and have something exciting to look forward to. Some people are like, well, I can't go to the gym because don't have anybody to babysit my kids or whatever the case may be. Well, everybody put on a pair of rollerblades.
Yep.
Go as a family. Why do you have to exclude your children from healthy activities. You can make it a family activity or memorable. Adam will be out there and doing volleyball with Charlotte. And let me tell you, it gets your shoulders and all of these muscles all around your rotator cuff and your pec muscles. And, you know, it will work you out, but you're having fun with your kids at the same time. Or if your bestie's coming over, do a dance party while you're doing laundry. Get some, get some stuff done and burn some calories at the same time. I'm
Yeah.
thinking salt and pepper, push it real good. I mean, that's about the best push ups I'm going to get.
I love it. I love it. How about you, Adam? Do you have any thoughts around community and support that way?
I tend to be largely like a lone wolf, but I think community is important because I think, well, for two reasons: support and accountability. So if there's something that you're trying to accomplish and you have a community, having the support behind you of like encouragement or maybe connecting you to resources that you weren't aware of can really help accelerate whatever it is that you're like trying to accomplish. And then from the accountability side, like it's pretty easy, like using the gym example. If I just decide I don't want to go to the gym today, there's nobody to really like hold me accountable to that except for me. But if
Yeah.
I always go with a friend and we meet each other there, we drive there, or even going on a walk outside, like the gym's just an example. Like the accountability of having somebody else do it with you then is, even if I don't feel like it, I don't necessarily want to let them down in that scenario. So I'd be more prone to do it on days when I'm just not feeling it, and probably
Mhm.
vice versa.
But I have to inject, you do this in community, even though you think you're Mr. Lone Wolf. Your dog and your daughter are your community.
Mhm.
And you guys get up every morning and when neither of you feel like it, and you get up and you do a morning walk. And not only are you being physical, you're also having that mental health and that connection time. And you even tell me how amazing it is, the conversations between the both of you, how it is excellent for both of your
Mhm.
mental health. And you do have your community. I think you're just thinking of community as far as like other people and big groups. And I think it's important to know that community can look different for for other people. It doesn't have to be just large groups of people meeting up.
For sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so when we're talking about, community and what you can do in community, I'm also someone who appreciates a good sound bath. I'm someone who appreciates a good salt room session. And all of these things can also support your health.
Huh?
And I don't want to kind of pigeonhole accountability to just like going out or working out or burning calories. There's
Correct.
other things that we can do to help with stress and to help with our nervous system reset. And as much as moving our body is super important, it's also important to restore and to do that. So, have your girlfriends or your friends come together and what we did when I was living in Florida, we had a sound bath practitioner do it at someone's house, and we invited a whole bunch of girlfriends over and we did it in someone's home, and it was just so wonderful. So think about ways that, and maybe in your shift circle, each person brings a new activity to the table, right? Because what you find as something that's supportive of your health, I would have never thought of. So it's definitely something to explore with community, and it's something that can really add to that whole experience.
Uh-huh.
All right. So we are going to get into this was a really rich conversation. I'm hoping that our listeners have tools or inspiration, maybe a different way to think about resolutions and their health journey. And I would love to do give a little invite to our listeners on some of the things that they can do to help support them as they explore their reset. So as I said earlier in the conversation, we need to show gratitude to our bodies. Our bodies have been with us for all of these years, hasn't let us down. Our heart keeps pumping, our liver keeps detoxing, does all these wonderful things, and we take it for granted. And I think, in previous activations I've talked about writing a letter to your emotions, each and every emotion. Well, this is an opportunity to stop and say to your body, we have been through all these things. And I just want to give a moment of gratitude to your body. So think about what each, and you could write specifically to a specific part and you could do different letters. You can
Mhm.
write to your body in general, but really take a moment and think about all the systems that are in your body. Think about how they all work together harmoniously and what they do for you. So, what is your reaction to that? Is that something that, you've ever thought about before?
For me, I haven't thought about writing to it, but when I see that and I think about that, I do think instantly all these things pop up of just such certain situations where my body would say, like, hey, I'm weak right now and I need you to do your part because we're a team and we're supposed to work together. And I can't do my job without you doing your job. And I really through actual scary and hard times felt the collaboration that I need to have within myself. And it's going to be an interesting shift activation for me because I've had issues in the past with my heart before or kidneys and different things like that. And I'm so grateful that they've been patient for me to recover, to get my shit together so that I can do my part properly and know how to be a great team player. So,
Yeah.
so that they can do their job. So it's going to be an interesting activation.
And I know you've heard, different organs carry and harbor different emotions.
Oh, girl,
So
yes.
your liver with anger, your lungs with grief, and, in addition to thanking it for their functions and how they support you, you may start to go down the rabbit hole and say, "Oh my goodness, I didn't realize how angry you were.
Hmm.
I've been suffering with migraines." And I always think it's my body saying, "Stop overthinking."
Well, I'll tell you what it means. I told you I use this app all the time. It's the best $10 app I've ever purchased. It's the Essential Emotions app, and they have the tabs in there of emotion, oil, and body. And I always will pick up this app if there's something going on. Like Ashton had the hiccups like crazy the other day. So I looked up the hiccups in there and what it meant emotionally, right? Because your body is holding on to things and you are having migraines, which are in the brain. So the emotional root is conscious director of the body, underlining emotions, distracted, stuck, unfocused, or overanalyzing, kind of like what you were saying, overthinking. What will it take for me to feel I am directing my thoughts? Am I ready to choose my thoughts rather than have my thoughts run me? Am I overanalyzing things? And then with this app, you can click on the emotion. This one in particular would be overanalyzing. And then it gives you oil suggestions to help balance those out. And your all your organs. Like I could go into here, like you said, and pick lungs, and lungs are going to be an emotional root of something, grief, betrayal, whatever, but every organ
Yes.
has an emotional link. And I love this app.
Oh, that's amazing. Definitely thinking about it in a very different way and also allowing your body to share what it is sharing with you.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that, Jen, you're able to listen and hone in and say, okay, what's going on? And sometimes our bodies are screaming without us giving it any attention. So that's the hope, is to take this time to really quiet in and go within and
Mhm.
thank your body, because I'm sure your body would love that gratitude.
Mhm.
The next activation prompt is, what does health mean to you? Now, I asked that question to Adam and Jen here because that might mean something different to all of you. And I'm hoping through this conversation, we can expand the word of health and look at all the different avenues and ways that health supports us or not support us throughout our journey. So so write that out. I can also add in social media and other things my web, so you could see what that looks like, to give you an idea of, this is a different way to do it, because maybe lists are not that's what you prefer. So definitely ask yourself that question and figure out for you, what does health mean?
One thing on
And
that one,
then
Sandra, when people are writing that, it's important to think about it in the like affirmative. Try not to write your health goals as like, I want to be less tired, as an example. Like that, you could rewrite as, I want to feel more rested. So
yes.
try to reword things whenever it'll be more supportive of your goals, to be
Mhm.
focusing on the outcome or the positive rather than avoiding the negative.
Yeah, speak in the language of what you want.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And then finally, of course, vision books. So create a book, different chapters, and to think about all the different ways health manifests in your life, in your world, or the places you want to focus on. Health is going to be a chapter in that bigger book, but it's an opportunity to fully go into all the different areas that we've discussed and areas that are in your life that you would like to focus on. So vision book can be very artistic. You can use graphic, you can take out your crayons and markers, you can do it digitally if that's something that is just appeals to you. Remember, this is yours and this is for no one else. And if you'd like to share that, we would love to see it. So feel free to also share it on our socials. So wonderful. So we talked about many things. Thank you so much for a fruitful conversation around health and the health reset. I'm hoping that we just rethink what resolutions look like for this new year. And we're always here to hear. So if you'd love to share any of that, feel free to reach out to us and we'd love to explore what does health mean for you. All right, everyone. So now go and sip something yummy and know that you always have us to support you through your health shift. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
And that's it for today's shift. Thank you so much for sharing this space with us. If you're loving the conversation, become a shifty. Like, follow, subscribe, and most of all, share this episode with someone who's shifting too, or someone who seriously needs to get their shift together.
Do you have thoughts, questions, topic requests, or maybe you're feeling the nudge to collaborate? Visit us at shiftsisterpodcast.com. We'd love to hear from you. We're so grateful for your presence, your friendship, and your willingness to do the work with us. Because shift happens and we're not meant to do it alone.
We'll meet you back here next time to breathe, reflect, and talk shift.